It all begins with a man watching the sun from the top of a mountain and thinking that the world is too small. He raises his hand to the sky and wonders if the martial world has always been so small and without challenges. In the past, the leader of the martial alliance that started the Great War was defeated by him with a single blow. Even the king of the Black Dragon, who was the pinnacle of the unorthodox faction, was terrified in his presence. The master of the Pavilion of Lost Souls begged for his life before the fight, leaving him without opponents. The celestial demon Chi Yurang has achieved supremacy in the world and now lives in constant solitude. Suddenly, a blinding light cuts across the sky and catches your attention. His eyes widen in complete shock at what he has just seen. His body begins to float toward a gigantic space vortex that has formed above him. A massive suction force relentlessly drags him into a dark portal. He clenches his teeth, trying to resist that overwhelming force. Yurang then focuses his power and unleashes a powerful punch against the spatial rift. Irritated, he curses the person responsible for that insolent trick, demanding to know who is behind it. Sensing a colossal energy, he screams in pain, while wondering if anyone as strong still exists. The force of the impact is so devastating that it completely destroys the mountain peak where he was standing. The portal emits a burst of blue light and tears through the fabric of space, swallowing the celestial demon. 10 years pass and we see a succulent piece of meat being roasted over a campfire. A man with gray hair and a full beard opens his mouth to take a big bite. Yurang is sitting on a dragon carcass and grumbling that the meat tastes like garbage. Immediately, his stomach starts growling loudly and he complains about the noise his own body is making. He has been trapped on this strange island full of elixirs growing on the ground. For a decade, the place is a chaotic paradise infested with bizarre beasts and monsters that are the only living beings there. The only law that prevails in this hostile and isolated environment is the cruel and merciless law of the jungle. He leaps from the dragon's carcass, remembering that he has been the supreme alpha predator of that place, but he sighs in frustration. Questioning the point of being strong if the food is so bad, he lands gently on the ground and begins to walk up the mountain. Wandering aimlessly, he admits to himself that he misses everything from his previous life. He fondly remembers his old rivals and the followers who competed for his attention. Yurang remembers trying to escape, but realizing that beyond the island's sea, there was only an endless void. Suddenly, a mysterious beam of light flashes in the middle of the dense forest, drawing your attention. He notices the unusual flash and becomes curious about the origin of that sudden brightness. Without wasting any time, he speeds off towards the anomaly to investigate. The master runs swiftly through the trees of the forest, following the luminous trail. Upon arriving at the exact location, he is completely surprised by what his eyes find. Before him emerges a mysterious, large, modern white structure in the middle of the forest. He touches the wall of the building and finds it fascinating that it doesn't seem to be a work of nature. At that moment, the structure reacts to his touch by emitting a strong red glow that frightens him. He recoils in surprise and realizes that it is actually some kind of advanced mechanism. With a metallic thud, the wall panels slide open, revealing a secret passage inside. He observes from afar that the structure is a cubic room completely out of sync with the rest of the world. Carefully, the celestial demon pushes open the door and peeks into the unusual room. He enters the place full of strange things and asks loudly if there is anyone inside curious. He taps his hand on a smooth green wall, trying to figure out what it's made of. Yurang sits in a swivel office chair and marvels at the comfort of the furniture. He murmurs with satisfaction as he manages to relax his body for the first time in a long time. He then notices a monitor rack and presses a small illuminated button on the table. The screens light up immediately, emitting a strong blue light that catches you completely off guard. A hologram appears displaying various language options and asking him to make a choice. The warrior stretches out his finger and touches the screen, selecting the native language of the Central Plains. Immediately afterwards, a smiling digital mascot appears on the screen announcing the start of the broadcast. The screen glows, displaying a welcome message to the Quitch platform. Yurang's eyes widen, completely confused by the unexpected scene. He notices the image of several people through that illuminated panel. A young man scoffs, saying that martial artists are no big deal. The stranger on the screen announces that a cookie mission will begin. The boy raises his hand as intense flames begin to form. He conjures a powerful fire spell while the chat goes crazy. Suddenly, a martial artist fiercely charges at the foreigner, but the boy just smiles and snaps his fingers to activate his magic. A gigantic pillar of flames engulfs the opponent in an instant. The warrior screams in agony as he is completely charred. The wizard mocks them, suggesting they use firearms if they are angry. Yurang realizes with surprise that this energy does not come from the martial world. He touches the screen and demands to know who that wizard is and where they are. The screen changes, showing a succulent piece of pork in the transmission. A young witch bites into the delicious food while the chat praises her highly. The master is shocked to recognize his favorite meal being displayed. He starts drooling desperately at the sight of real food. After 10 years agitated, he shakes the monitor, begging the girl to give him a piece. The old man laments having spent the last decade eating only monster meat. Desperate, he bangs on the keyboard trying to figure out how to use the machine. He looks at the stars through the window, wondering how to contact those people. A new presenter appears on screen, promising to teach about food folding. The masked man explains that 10 years ago, 4 different dimensions merged. Worlds of magic, martial arts, technology, and hunters have merged into one. Rifts have emerged, causing chaos and forcing realities to ally. A viewer donates cookies, asking the presenter to get straight to the point. Grateful for the donation, the man decides to order a drink through the app. He says that warp drive technology is the result of this magical union. A small machine glows and instantly materializes a cup of coffee. The presenter ends the video by asking everyone to subscribe to the channel. Yurang breaks into a wide smile, realizing he has found the perfect solution. He understands that he can make money from videos and buy real food. Excited, the celestial demon begins to press the keys with great focus. Without wasting any time, he clicks the button and starts his first broadcast. Looking at the camera, he notices that his clothes look like those of a beggar. At this very moment, the first viewer enters the chat room. The visitor is startled by Yurang's appearance and leaves the live stream immediately. He falls completely silent, sweating profusely at the sudden rejection. A new user enters the room asking if he is really the celestial demon. The master calmly adjusts his hair and confirms his true identity. Striking a majestic pose, he proudly asserts his supreme title. But the viewer laughs, thinking it's a joke, and leaves the live stream immediately. Yurang is distraught, wondering if the whole world has forgotten his great name. Then he remembers that the presenter mentioned the union of 4 different worlds. Trembling, he accepts that it's natural to be forgotten, after disappearing for 10 whole years. He threatens to close the panel, reflecting that being forgotten is the same as dying. Determined, he unleashes his energy and decides that he will conquer that platform. He reflects that most famous channels show people fighting or talking, propelled by his Kai. The master takes a colossal leap towards the starry heavens. Yurang recalls that the most popular channels featured beautiful young maidens. He reflects that nobody would want to watch an old man's broadcast. He flies through the night sky and thinks he needs to capture everyone's attention. With a brutal blow, he crushes the head of a monster in the forest, holding an energy core. He decides he'll do this the right way. He states with shining eyes that this is the demonic path. He walks through the woods, thinking about rejuvenating his body after so long. The monster's gem shines brightly and possesses a massive concentration of energy. He explains that the energy would only rejuvenate the body to youth. While meditating, he promises that the platform will await him. A man intently watches a monitor in a dark room. He moves the mouse around looking for something interesting to watch. The user says that their joy is finding new channels and donating a lot of money. His blue eyes widen as he finally finds something eye-catching. He gets excited when he sees that she's a newcomer with a cute appearance. The spectator smiles maliciously, complimenting the girl's way of speaking. Without wasting any time, he starts typing frantically on the keyboard. He donates 10,000 cookies and asks if she has a reaction to it. The girl smiles confidently, confirming that she does indeed have a reaction. She brings her face closer to the screen, displaying her bright blue eyes, striking a cute pose. She thanks the donor by imitating a kitten. The spectator screams, clutching his chest, completely in love with her. The Celestial Demon. Chi Yurong has been reborn as a beautiful young girl. Several users start entering the broadcast room immediately. She continues with her cute acting, attracting the attention of all the newcomers. Repeating the feline pose, she thanks again with great enthusiasm. The boy shouts once more. Declaring his love for the cute girl, Yurang smiles proudly at her new body like a charming young woman. The chat keeps growing with more and more people joining the live stream non-stop. He explains that rejuvenation reverses the body after illumination. He reveals that he ignored rejuvenation for years out of sheer laziness. But thanks to that, he developed a very peculiar body constitution. The massive energy allowed him to alter not only gender but everything. Thus was born the ultimate physique for transmissions, created by the strongest. When asked about her age, she shocks everyone by saying she is 70 years old. She smiles grimly, knowing that her new appearance approves of everything. The boy donates another 10,000 cookies, calling the girl by her new nickname. She maintains her performance and expresses her gratitude in a sweet way to please the donor. Yorang swings his legs, confessing that he's loving all this attention. He makes more hearts lament than before. He only heard the cries of beasts. The chat is going crazy, asking where all this cuteness is coming from. He smiles slightly, stating that communicating after 10 years is very exciting. Shaking her head, she disguises her feelings and says it wasn't a big deal. Yurang's eyes widen in amazement at the amount raised on the first day. He looks at the statistics, noting that most of the donations came from a fan. He admits that none of this would be possible if it weren't for a beautiful girl now. Suddenly, Yurang slams his hand on the table very hard, startling the chat. With a serious expression and somber aura, she announces the start of the mukbang. When fans ask about the dish, she wipes her mouth and orders dongpo pork. She licks her lips excitedly, saying that this is her favorite dish of all. Yurang trembles as he clicks the button to buy the meat for 100,000 biscuits. The small warp drive begins to glow brightly in the room. Her bright eyes widen as her heart pounds. A plate with succulent pieces of meat appears in the blink of an eye. Yurang drools with longing, admiring the color and texture of his favorite food, with her mouth watering. She finally takes her first bite in 10 years. She chews the juicy piece, resting her head on the back of the chair. The girl cries with emotion, declaring that the flavor is absolutely delicious. Without wasting any time, she devours the entire dish with tears of pure joy. Suddenly, she chokes on her food and pounds her chest, coughing uncontrollably. The chat is amused watching the girl cry so much while desperately eating. She remains silent, a tear rolling down her flushed face. Yurang apologizes, confessing that it's been a long time since he's eaten real food. The next day, the girl begins her second day of live streaming. With her arms crossed, she greets the new spectators confidently. The system beeps to indicate that a new spectator has just entered the room. She lets out a confused sound when she sees that more people are arriving. Yurang is completely lost, wondering why so many people are coming in. The number of current viewers is starting to rise rapidly on your screen. Her eyes widen in complete shock as she sees the audience nearly double in size. Her biggest fan makes a donation, asking her to watch popular music videos. Yurang discovers that a clip of her crying while eating meat has gone viral online. Very happy, she praises the excellent work of the viewer, who recorded the clip. At this moment, the folding machine emits a sound indicating that a purchase has arrived. Making a peace sign, she reveals that she used the donations to buy something. Smiling arrogantly, she explains that investing in live streaming brings good results. Pointing his finger, Yurang announces that he will be streaming himself playing video games. She noticed that the vast majority of famous streamers play in virtual reality. The virtual reality fighting game is the big hit of the moment on the platform. She recalls that most mages and fighters usually play this marvel. Fans are going crazy when they realize this will be her first time playing that. She puts on virtual reality glasses and asks her followers for advice. A beam of blue light scans the girl's face as she enters the game. Yurang lets out a sigh of enchanted admiration at that digital space. She waves her hands in amazement as fans question her innocence. The girl confesses that she would have thought she had been teleported if it weren't for the chat. The system welcomes her and warns that it will measure her combat power. Yurang stands still, obeying the machine, while fans debate her strength. Surprisingly, the system displays question marks instead of the force. She blinks confusedly, asking the viewers if there was a problem. Shrugging, she tries to ignore it, but the chat warns that it's very important. A fan donates some cookies explaining that strength affects the difficulty of the match. She quickly understands that the stronger she is, the more monsters will appear, turning her back. The girl asks if anyone knows how the system works. She is perplexed to discover that even the experts don't understand the mechanics. The fan sends a link to a video of the masked man to help her understand everything. The animated presenter appears on the screen, ready to explain the virtual world. He recounts that after the merging of the worlds, the strongest beings began to fight. These colossal battles caused countless deaths and destroyed entire cities. To avoid total destruction, the large corporation launched virtual reality, which has unified humanity by forming an independent network of virtual reality systems, guaranteeing progress. Because of its creation, there is a metric that the company deeply values and that everyone knows well. She understands that this metric converts skills and mana into rigorous numbers, but the principles are a mystery. Yurang gets annoyed realizing that even the supposed expert can't explain how this high technology works. The girl crosses her arms, deducing that the system is merely the result of a mix of technologies after the cataclysm. Sighing with boredom, she informs the chat that in the future they should summarize this information in just 3 lines. The system announces that the game installation is complete and starts the match, exciting the live viewers. As soon as the light fades, Yurang's foot touches the digital floor of the virtual arena with a characteristic sound. She opens her eyes, amazed by the texture and fidelity of that new environment generated by the advanced system. The girl admires the immense digital arena that simulates classical architecture mixed with modern elements. Observing the majestic scenery, she smiles slightly and comments that the view brings a great feeling of nostalgia. She skips the initial tutorial with a quick nod because she's already watched several streams and knows the basics. A viewer questions whether the cute celestial demon has ever actually fought in her life, and she just laughs with a terrifying gaze and an imposing aura. She arrogantly declares that she has no equal in this world. The chat doesn't take the girl seriously and mocks her overconfidence because it's her first time playing the game. She raises her finger and states that the game is a very simple task, requiring only the elimination of the enemy's green bar. Preparing for combat, the girl decides to do a short warm-up before her opponents arrive. With a firm stomp on the ground, a powerful purplish shockwave spreads through the arena. Drawing attention, fans note with amazement that the girl's initial stance demonstrates considerable training and martial arts focus. She moves her arms fluidly, and the chat debates whether she's using mana or internal energy right from the start. By focusing his power, Yurang executes precise movements, surprising everyone with his innate skill. The system interrupts its warm-up, warning that the user Grandma Cart Thief has requested a direct challenge. The challenger is an experienced player wearing virtual reality glasses who smiles maliciously at his screen. Followers warn that this is a famous troll asking her to refuse because her body is restricted. Ignoring the warnings, Yurang accepts the challenge, seeing it as a great opportunity to get used to the controls. A player in heavy spiked boots firmly stomps onto the virtual arena floor. Simulating his arrival, the opponent smiles sadistically, revealing his sharp teeth and eager to crush the cute newcomer. The spiky-haired gunslinger emerges from the portal mocking the girl and stating that no one can beat a gun. The system announces that the battle will begin after the countdown as the two face off in the arena. Yurang maintains his firm and imposing posture, awaiting the final seconds of the virtual system's countdown. As soon as the sign signals the start of the fight, the shooter draws his shotgun with impressive speed. Without hesitation, he fires a direct shot at the girl, confident that the newcomer will have no chance to react. The punk laughs maniacally, already celebrating his easy and cowardly victory against a beginner player. But the shooter's smile instantly vanishes, and he freezes. Confused by what he has just witnessed, Yurang appears floating elegantly and holding the weapon's projectile with the tips of his illuminated fingers. Examining the ammunition with curiosity, she finally understands what a bullet is while the chat goes crazy. After the brief analysis, she releases the useless projectile, which falls to the arena floor with a small metallic sound. The shooter begins to sweat profusely and trembles with fear, realizing that his opponent is not a simple, harmless rookie. With his eyes gleaming in a menacing light, Yurang focuses his energy and announces that now it's his turn. The opponent panics completely, not knowing how to react to the immense, overwhelming power emanating from the cute girl. The chat goes completely crazy, shocked by the absurd scene of the newbie catching a bullet in mid-air with her bare hands. The scene changes, and the friendly presenter, Snowwagon, reappears on screen to continue explaining the world. He explains that martial arts have lost relevance and that decent warriors are those who handle weapons. A martial artist points to revolvers, highlighting that all the training is useless against a single well-placed shot. Traditional martial arts schools and their rigid training methods are headed straight for ruin. The presenter emphasizes that training for 10 years to master a weapon is still no guarantee of reaching that level. In a chaotic world, everyone prefers to learn to shoot by shaving their head and changing classes to adapt. Powerful factions are trying to attract new followers with neon signs so they don't disappear in this new, peaceful era. The presenter points his finger and changes his serious expression, stating that the real problem arises at this exact point. Conventional weapons are useless against demonic beasts, and shots ricochet off the monster's thick skin. The man laments that humanity needs to cultivate talent, but prefers weak weapons. Currently, the number of practitioners decreases each year due to the search for convenience. Snow concludes his explanation by asking them to be careful with bullets. After watching the video, she sighs and understands why a gun kills so easily. She realizes that the ease of access makes ordinary people dependent solely on weapons. Clenching her fists with demonic energy, the girl laments that this weakens people. Stating that this is unacceptable, she raises her foot imbued with lethal power. She advances towards her opponent, taking only a small, subtle step. However, this slight proximity terrifies the gunman. The next second, he loses consciousness and collapses backward onto the floor. The girl blinks, perplexed, not understanding what just happened to her opponent. The spectators also don't understand anything, questioning the reason for the player's instant fainting. She wonders how someone who faints with a single step can be an opponent of cult beginners. Yurang sighs in disappointment, realizing that he is just a hooligan with no training or inner strength. She calls him pathetic for relying solely on a gun. The superfan donates another 10,000 cookies, asking permission to turn that embarrassing scene into a music video. On the community page, the forums are ablaze with discussion about the newbie catching the bullet in mid-air. Some doubt the veracity of the video, but others watched it in slow motion and confirmed that it is not fake. The images are circulating on social media, dividing opinions between disbelief and deep admiration for the skill. Even an experienced teacher watches the clip in her dark room, stating that she herself wouldn't do that. She types on the keyboard, commenting that she seems to see the leaders from her youth fighting there. A famous fan responds to the comment after being called a troll. The user praises the player's skills and reveals their intention to visit her soon. He insists that Yurang has to change his name. She is offended and displays deep fury at this sudden arrogance from a troll. She murmurs irritably that he is a brazen newcomer wanting to usurp the title of heaven. The famous fan refuses to back down and sends repeated messages in the chat about the leader of the demonic cult. The following day, Yurang starts the outdoor live stream with the title of Achievement. She smiles at the chat panel and strikes a cute pose to greet her morning audience. Yurang notices that the number of viewers has grown significantly and is excited about it. During the broadcast, the number of viewers reaches 200 people before the end. The biggest fan donates again, asking the master to give credit. She smiles gently and comments that the situation reminds him of someone from his past. On the screen, a user asks the master not to dare use the name of the demonic cult. Yurang is startled by the annoying attitude, asking them to ban him. Some explain that it's just a famous troll by name. She accepts the words and asks if her biggest donor is paying attention. Soon after, she grants moderation to her biggest fan. While she laughs, users begin to debate that such a peculiar scenario cannot be natural. The girl turns her face displaying the various exotically shaped foliage around her. They notice the blood on the flowers and items and become suspicious about where she is. Yurang looks around and states that the fans aren't the only ones surprised by that exotic and strange location. She asks if there are any martial arts masters among her diverse and active audience. With determined steps, Yurang directly asks users whether or not they remember the ancient celestial demon. Many say they've heard rumors of his absurd brute strength, demon horns, and drinking pure human blood. Smiling discreetly, the girl asks them why someone so great didn't help the world during the battles. A spectator responds, stating with certainty that the legend died in the wars against the beasts of terrible calamity. Yurang promptly denies this, saying that she didn't really die. When asked how she knows this, the girl confidently replies. She clenches her fist, surrounded by an intense aura, declaring that she is Chi Yurang, the leader of the heavenly demon cult. The girl sighs with an irritated expression, admitting that it's obvious no one would believe that sudden revelation. Looking at the forums on the dashboard, she realizes that most people believe the entire cult was killed or lost. Yurang decides not to insist on the matter and calmly walks towards the highest part of the strange mountain. Going through various spiritual herbs, she explains that she needs to have a broad view of that supposedly cursed island after a long, breathless hike. The girl smiles confidently as she notices she is finally reaching the top of the mountain. Yurang adjusts his hair and tells the chat to get ready for the stunning view that awaits them on the other side. The camera reveals the frightening and chaotic landscape of the place while she repeats that this is the island where she has been living. Spectators panic as they notice a massive beast crawling on the horizon, enveloped in red lightning. The grim sight of smoke, sharp rocks, volcanoes, and lightning leaves everyone terrified of the impending danger. The girl confesses that she has lived there for 10 years, and turned on the transmission just to see if anyone knew the area. Showing the desolate landscape to the camera with her arms outstretched, she asks once more if anyone recognizes her. The chat's silence regarding the location confirms Yurang's suspicions that the place is a mystery to everyone. Surprisingly, the girl suddenly pauses upon noticing some very useful information appearing on the screen in front of her. She stares intently at the screen, watching a user claim that this wild environment is the demonic domain. Meanwhile, the man lying in a dark room cannot understand why he fainted with a single step. Ashamed, he kneels and reports to his boss that his prized firearm was confiscated during the battle. The big guy questions the leader about what they should do to defend the honor of their humiliatingly defeated comrade. The deputy squad leader shouts, demanding revenge, as he considers it unacceptable that one of his own should suffer such shame. On the other side, the boss strokes his spiky hair, sighing with boredom at all that dramatic chaos. The squad leader stands up huffing and agrees not to let the offense against one of his members go unpunished. The brute points at the embarrassed boy and directly asks the name of the girl who defeated him. The boss smirks when he hears the name of the opponent in that pathetic fight. He closes his eyes with a grim smile, emphasizing that the title of Celestial Demon is something very dangerous. Back in the dark room, the experienced teacher continues her tireless daily routine on the computer and the internet. She furiously stares at the haters' comments, realizing the extreme disrespect shown to the beloved and dearly missed cult leader. Gritting her teeth, she murmurs, her eyes gleaming with pure hatred, determined to eliminate the supposed farce. The boss smiles contentedly as he confirms the nickname the boy had mentioned amidst the squad's lively conversation. Like the master, he also agrees that this legendary and terrible name should not be used so lightly. The master continues to seethe with rage as she types non-stop, demonstrating how loyal she remains to her leader. In a complete fit of rage, she vows to teach an unforgettable lesson to the girl who dishonored the sacred demonic cult. The two experienced warriors murmur the same threat, promising to erase the name of the false girl and those who follow her. In another broadcast, the ever-intrusive presenter reappears, ready to talk about the dreaded Demon Kingdom. He recounts that the site was discovered long before the Rift War, right at the beginning of the catastrophic cataclysm. The discovery occurred when a mage named Malin was desperately fleeing from beasts and threw herself into a temporal rift. Upon waking up in the new world, she noticed a very peculiar detail. She realized she was in a place completely covered in rare herbs. The young sorceress smiled, enchanted, believing she had been saved by falling into that beautiful place filled with the four seasons. But the enchantment was short-lived when the sorceress saw enormous creatures appearing on the horizon, ready to attack her immediately. By sheer luck, a crack opened up, and she managed to escape that nightmare with her precious bag full of elixirs. When she returned, the scholars analyzed her clothes, discovering that the heir possessed an insane and absurd level of mana. Current theory suggests that the bizarre ecosystem of that mysterious island arose precisely because of the immense energy. The presenter explains that the mysteries of that place divide the entire world between those who believe and the skeptics. He questions his vast audience about what they think of the veracity of this dangerous place, inciting heated debates. The presenter ends the broadcast while Yurang watches everything in silence, processing each detail he discovers. She murmurs the name of the region, finding the place very boring. A spectator points out that surviving there requires at least level 90, but questions how the mage managed to escape. Yurang ignores the theory, clinging to the fact that that dangerous place has mysterious rifts from where she came sitting down. The girl excitedly thinks about how to do a live stream from outside if she finds a crack there. The next day, she starts her live stream focusing on a tasty meal and getting ready to play some more. Yurang smiles mysteriously, telling his followers that the veracity of the kingdom still needs to be fully proven. The girl announces the start of the mukbang with a piece of meat that cost 15,000 biscuits. Yurang admires the illuminated plate, hoping it will be absurdly more delicious for the price he paid. She quickly looks away, checking the comments and reactions in her chat before starting to eat. The panel shows various dongpo options at absurd prices ranging from 1 to 3 million biscuits. Yurang hesitantly stretches out his hand, almost unable to believe that he will be able to savor that precious treat so soon. Smiling foolishly, she dreams of one day being rich enough to sample all the premium types of the delicacy, back to reality. She picks up the modest piece of meat she bought and takes a big, juicy bite. The girl cries tears of joy at the wonderful taste, feeling every texture of the food melt in her mouth. Happily, she rocks back in her chair while chewing, savoring that moment of peace and genuine happiness. The spectators jokingly ask her to eat slowly because no one will try to steal her meat. Yurang lowers her face with a melancholic expression, confessing that she wished someone would try to steal her. The system flashes to notify you that there are 2 unread whispers waiting to be opened in your inbox. The holographic message shows the master gravely offending her for attempting to usurp the name of the cult leader. She challenges her to a duel, threatening to punish her severely if she ignores her fury and audacity as a martial artist. The hologram ends the threats with the promise of a donation of 10 million cookies if the teacher loses. Yurang smiles and ignores the annoying message, quickly moving on to read the next pending notification. The next message is from the squad leader threatening revenge because Yurang humiliated and hurt his family. He terrorizes the girl, stating that blood will be paid with blood, demanding an immediate battle to settle everything. Yurang's eyes gleam with a menacing and dangerous glow, his blood boiling with rage at these insults. She chews the last piece of meat and asks if anyone in the chat knows about this extermination squad and its strength. The girl reports the violent message, curious to know exactly who the offended and crying relative of theirs is. Yurang mocks the squad's dramatic threat, stating that payment should be in urine instead of blood. She happily swallows the rest of her food, pleased with the chat's reactions, sensing that this conflict will generate great content. With a determined look, she announces that she will begin the second part of the live stream and puts on her virtual reality glasses. The system is back up and running, welcoming the celestial demon back for a few more rounds of fighting. Yurang flexes his fingers, testing the commands and preparing to destroy anyone who crosses his path. Yurang clenches his fist forcefully, complaining that his rank remains the same, despite several quick consecutive victories. She grumbles that so far the battles have been boring, With the enemies just shooting at her with simple weapons, Yurang becomes wary when users explain that the real danger lies in cybernetic modifications affecting wealthy gamers. Excited and confident, she looks forward to playing in competitive mode and discovering her true ranking in the game. She studies the ranking levels, starting from the humble bronze level and working her way up to the majestic and unbeatable legend level. With her hand outstretched, she declares with conviction that her one and only true goal is to reach heaven beyond heaven. With a light radiating from her virtual hand, she states that the path will be long, but she will soon sweep away all obstacles. Yurang adjusts her hair, her dark, bright eyes ready to massacre those who underestimate her power. In another dark room, the enemies prepare fiercely, announcing that the blades of vengeance have already been drawn. The players scream in anger, sending dozens of invitations in quick succession to ensure that the damned newbie faces them. The fighter finally connects with Yurang, gritting her teeth and vowing to teach the little girl true terror. In the digital arena, the system announces that the match has started, and Yurang coldly stares at the woman in front of him. With a furious look, the challenger raises a heavy rotary machine gun, ignoring the fact that her opponent caught a bare bullet. Without giving the fighter a chance, she cocks the enormous weapon, declaring that the toy fires 10 times per second. The countdown ends, and the machine gun begins firing violently at Yurang. The projectiles fly like missiles, tearing through the arena floor and aiming precisely at the heart of the little warrior. In an instinctive and precise reflex, Yurang deflects one of the bullets with the palm of his hand using a thin layer of spiritual aura. She deflects dozens of projectiles in sequence with her hands covered in spiritual energy. Surprising everyone, by concentrating mystical power in her fingertips, she intercepts each shot, easily deflecting lethal paths. Finally, Yurang repels the remaining bullets with a burst of energy and prepares to counterattack the surprised enemy. The deflected projectiles hit the fighter's shoulders, arms, and legs, piercing her defense without any warning. The impact throws the woman's real body backward, ripping off her virtual reality glasses in the middle of her allied guild's base. The victory is announced with an image of the celestial demon, wiping her hand and taking a deep breath after the perfect annihilation. The fallen woman murmurs in fear to her leader, confessing that she shot at point-blank range and doesn't know what went wrong. The woman on screen becomes frustrated, complaining that her opponent used some dirty trick. A man in overalls angrily steps forward, asking his boss to let him fight next. He points his assault rifle, demanding a duel while cursing the cute girl, but he is quickly defeated and screams in pain soon after the confrontation begins. A robust man steps forward, brandishing a weapon and vowing not to lose like the others. Immediately afterwards, he also appears desperate after being brutally humiliated by her. Several guild members remove their virtual reality glasses, writhing in agony and screaming in pain. The girl crosses her arms with a proud smile, feeling great about her victory. The woman with pink hair realizes with alarm that her group has become a laughingstock. One of the henchmen asks the leader for another chance, but the man coldly refuses the request. The brute angrily declares that he will not let the squad's reputation be tarnished. Vice leader Peng decides to enter the virtual arena in person to settle all of this. Meanwhile, the spectators continue to mercilessly mock the losers. The pink-haired girl trembles with rage reading all those mean comments on the screen. The henchman insists on trying to fight again, but the leader just repeats that there's no need. He reinforces with a heavy aura that the group's prestige has already been destroyed too much. With a murderous expression, the warrior warns that he will tear the girl apart with his bare hands, putting on his equipment. He seriously acknowledges that she is a dangerous threat. The leader suspects that his opponent is hiding heavy magic or implants. Oblivious to everything, Yurang smiles confidently, observing her own game panel. The man understands that he will need to use all his immense power if he doesn't want to be next. The system congratulates the young warrior for rising to the coveted bronze rank. She raises her arms and celebrates her great achievement with genuine excitement. His loyal fans send thousands of cookies to celebrate with their star. Very happy with the gifts, she expresses her gratitude by striking a cute pose, imitating a kitten. Suddenly, an unusual duel request from a gold-ranked player appears on your virtual screen. Fans report that gold-ranked players can now strengthen their bodies with Mana Yurang faces the challenge with boredom, while the chat doubts she can win a gold medal. Some viewers try to defend her by reminding everyone that she is just a newcomer, but she simply clicks the green button, accepting the fight without any fear. The system starts the duel quickly, and the hulking challenger begins to appear in the arena. The immense vice leader appears on the scene, cracking his neck in a very intimidating way. Yurang's large eyes widen as he hears and recognizes the familiar name of the Peng clan. He asks quite arrogantly if the girl knows the legend of the Tigers of Hebei. The warrior calmly confirms this information. Leaving the brute curious, she casually reveals the name of a former partner without a second thought. With a very friendly smile, she asks if her old friend is doing well in life. The man becomes enraged by her audacity, while fans inform him that he has already passed away. Clenching his fist in deep sorrow, the warrior affirms that the former leader died a hero. When she praises her friend's honorable death, the warrior tells her to shut up. He grinds his teeth, feeling that the great name of his leader is being disrespected. The man shouts angrily that the powerful spirit of the clan has never been broken by losses. The girl scratches her head, quite confused, not understanding the reason for all this pointless drama. The challenger advances furiously, warning that he is cowardly and merciless. Even towards the innocent, she stares at the crazy man with utter boredom while his fans explain his bad reputation. The chat warns that he uses a powerful and deadly saber technique that terrifies the weak. Quickly appearing with his sword, the man demonstrates his full, murderous intent. Yurang closes his eyes in a calm posture, preparing to put the trash away. Invoking her dark energy in her hands, she mocks the situation, recalling a saying. The countdown ends as the enemy relentlessly advances towards her. The system announces the fight, and the brute advances, promising to defeat her in a single blow. He hits the ground with brutal force, creating a gigantic crater in the virtual arena. The warrior uses a heavy stepping technique to gain momentum and speed. He runs swiftly towards Yurang, dragging his immense saber along the ground. The giant blade shines intensely, covered in a powerful, destructive blue energy. The man leaps and unleashes a furious slashing attack against the little warrior, but the warrior's smile fades, giving way to an expression of pure terror and disbelief. Yurang blocks the devastating blow with just one hand, enveloped in purple lightning. The brute is completely paralyzed and confused by the overwhelming strength of the cute girl. He perceives the sound of blades clashing, even though his opponent has her hands empty. The warrior spits blood upon, realizing she used a secret technique of his clan. Trembling and badly injured, he demands to know how she managed to use her family's martial art. Yurang turns his back and calmly explains that he felt a slight hesitation in his saber. The big guy collapses, defeated on the ground, while she poetically says that every flower trembles when it blooms. The girl smiles gently, stating that the leader's tragic death was not his fault. She confirms, with the image of the ancient warrior in the background, that the hero would say exactly those same words. The opponent's virtual body begins to disintegrate as she advises him to overcome his own trauma. The warrior cries with emotion and grinds his teeth, begging her not to make him laugh at a moment like this, with a friendly look. Yurang recognizes him as a true and proud heir of the Peng clan. His body disappears completely, and the girl thinks she has found a rare flower amidst the chaos. The system announces her brilliant victory and immediate promotion to the coveted silver ranking. The chat goes wild with the result, and fans send thousands of cookies to celebrate the great achievement. Very happy with the profit, the girl dances imitating a kitten to thank everyone for the generous donations. She smiles mischievously, calculating that she will soon have enough money for her beloved dish. Suddenly, a notification of a new challenger appears on the screen, interrupting his lively celebration. Spectators panic when they see that a grandmaster has just requested a fight against her. Yurang is surprised to read that impressive title. Imagining the power of such a highly ranked player, fans are begging her to refuse the challenge, reminding her that he is many levels superior to the big guy. But she notices the username and remembers seeing that familiar nickname somewhere before. A donor warns that this is the same troublemaker who spent the entire broadcast demanding that she change her name. The mysterious masked figure appears on screen, while followers comment on the unknown strength of a grandmaster. The girl asks for an explanation in martial terms, and they say it's comparable to a grandmaster at the pinnacle. She recalls the obsessive and toxic posts that this hater made about the former legend on social media. Yurang suspects it's just an enemy trying to tarnish the cult's reputation with this fanatical behavior. But considering his high level of combat, the girl begins to wonder if he might be a survivor from the old group. She lets out a soft, tired sigh, deciding that she needs to solve this mystery as quickly as possible. Yurang accepts the dangerous challenge and leaves all his viewers shocked by this absurd courage. The virtual arena suddenly changes to a nighttime setting with large, imposing doors. The mysterious user steps onto the stage floor with a boot enveloped in a powerful spiritual aura. She stares coldly at him with her hands crossed and asks if he is her annoying fan. The long-haired man appears, confirming that they have finally met. He praises the girl's attitude for not running away and accepting the duel against him. His mystical aura shines intensely as he savors the long-awaited encounter. With a piercing gaze from behind his mask, the master once again praises her fearless attitude. Yurang notes that the user's voice sounds androgynous and strangely artificial. She suspects the use of some technique or device, but assures that she will soon discover the truth. With the arena covered in spiritual energies, she promises to extract all his secrets during the fight. The masked man demands that the girl fulfill her promise to change her name if she is defeated. But she smiles with pure confidence, asking if he already has the money he bet to pay after the beating. He ignites his magical energy, dispensing weapons, and the countdown officially begins the great battle. Yurang disappears instantly, leaving the masked man completely confused in the arena. The warrior unleashes a powerful blue aura, quickly preparing his counterattack. Yurang reappears, observing his movements and recognizing that familiar technique. She knocks him to the ground effortlessly and asks if his name is Chilbok. The masked man stammers in shock as the chat goes wild, watching the Grandmaster fall. He remains seated on the arena floor and asks, frightened, who she really is. The masked man firmly denies being this person called Chilbok. Yurang can't believe it, and says he would never forget those unique moves. She remembers that he glided like a winter god, because she was the one who taught him. The girl thinks of a sick young man who defied his own fate to stay alive. He was her most loyal subject, and like a younger brother who followed her everywhere. Yurang smiles in relief, saying she is very happy to know that Chilbok is alive. The masked man stammers nervously as she asks why he keeps denying it. He clutches his chest in pain and admits that all of this happened a long time ago. A memory shows the cult under intense attack with warriors forming defenses. The sky turned upside down as destruction fell upon their home. Terrifying monsters massacred cult members who screamed for help amidst the chaos. A young Chilbok desperately cries out for the cult leader during the brutal massacre. He refuses to believe she escaped while giant beasts destroy everything. Another cult member runs up to him suggesting that the great leader might be dead. Chilbok rejects this idea while the man begs the strategist to run away. The warrior shouts that the leader abandoned them shortly before being brutally crushed. Chilbok is completely paralyzed and covered in blood amidst the cult's fire. He recalls the day demonic beasts invaded the world more than 10 years ago. The man confesses that a severe inner demon has taken hold of him since that day. Voices whispered incessantly that the leader had abandoned them, and this drove him crazy. He battled these inner demons for 10 painful years in total isolation. Back in the present, Yurang asks with great concern if he is hurt. The masked man grinds his teeth, feeling his emotions rapidly spiraling out of control. He releases a wave of blue energy and yells at her not to pronounce the leader's name. He wonders how she knows this, while his mental pain only gets worse. Holding the mask, he reveals himself to be the celestial strategist of the ancient lost cult. He stares at her with bright blue eyes and formally introduces himself as Dam Wolrin. The chat explodes in shock upon realizing that such a legendary figure is still alive. Fans explain that Black Feather was considered the absolute mastermind of the great cult. Yurang listens silently as everyone marvels at a survivor of the cult. Wolrin focuses his power, warning that he will show mercy only this once. He demands that she change the title, claiming that a brat shouldn't use that name. Yurang returns the gaze with a frighteningly calm expression, and in total silence, Wolrin clutches his own clothes, struggling to control his anger. Your demon manifests as a shadow threatening to cause a deadly key diversion. It explodes in a blinding vortex of blue aura that completely engulfs the entire arena. Before he can act, Yurang advances toward him with astonishing speed. She breaks through the energy storm, making everyone think she wants to kill him right there. Yurang reaches out her hand towards his face, surrounded by the intense light of the place. It hits him squarely, sending a massive shockwave across virtual space. Yurang breaks through all of his defenses with an overwhelming and majestic presence. She gracefully walks past him as the blinding light begins to fade in the arena. Wolrin's eyes widen in disbelief as she gently touches her forehead. A memory emerges showing the two of them sitting peacefully in a pavilion under the moonlight. Chilbok takes a sip of wine at night, while the cult leader advises him to drink in moderation. He asks what the problem is with drinking on one's deathbed, but she states with certainty that he will not die. The young man smiles melancholically, commenting that his weak body is beyond saving. He laments his humble origins and the fact that he lacks the talent or intelligence to learn martial arts. Chilbok sadly asks the leader to leave him alone, to peacefully await his tragic end. The cult leader simply turns her back in silence, leaving the young man confused by her reaction. Crying and deeply disappointed, he wonders if deep down he expected her to try to stop him from giving up. He faces his drink, deciding to accept his fate without holding any hope in his heart. Suddenly, she turns around again, calling the boy by his real name in a calm and firm manner. The warrior draws her gleaming sword and asks him to pay close attention to her movements, raising her blade under the moonlight. She announces with a smile that this demonstration will be her gift to him. She begins a sequence of strikes so beautiful and precise that it resembles an artistic dance with the sword. Chilbok watches, crying, as he realizes that this art was created specifically for someone as weak as him. The movements formed 12 incredibly gentle and welcoming postures for the young disciple's body. The boy mentally agrees, moved by all the affection and dedication his leader has shown him. She reveals with a confident smile that her ultimate goal is to become the supreme leader of the entire cult. The young man is completely dazzled by his master's majestic ambition and unwavering determination. She demands that he follow her to the top, but he cries, saying that he only knows how to do small, unimportant tricks. She just smiles slightly and asks affectionately if such a silly detail really makes any difference. The boy remains motionless, feeling his heart fill with a newfound determination to stay alive. She states that she likes him exactly the way he is, and that this is more than enough for her. Back in the present, the girl extends her hand, displaying the same welcoming smile from the past to her friend. The dark energy that tormented the warrior's mind finally dissipates, revealing the pure moonlight in the arena. His mask shatters, revealing his tear-streaked face as he recognizes his beloved mistress there. He asks, sobbing, if it's really her, and Yurang lovingly confirms his true identity as master. The two face each other in the virtual arena as she greets him, saying it's been a long time since their last meeting.